You could do it.
I can't, not in this amount of time. Should we just end it or go back?
No, don't end it.
Okay. Hey, we're just taking a minute. How's it going, guys?
Yeah, I don't have my phone, so no music right now. Not that anyone even gave a shit in the first place, but
It's been a long month.
yeah, just makes the time pass.
Just sharing the old live stream to my personal page.
So I'll just say this real fast. So Tyler does have the song that he puts in the audio version, and it's definitely needed, and it's definitely a good thing for the show. We mainly play it on the Facebook Live because even though we don't have it in an ideal situation, it gives us some time to share the episode and see that we're going. So that will be it, and now we'll just start the episode, I guess.
Yeah. Sweet. Hey, so welcome to the
sorry, go ahead.
He'll tell you I'm a bad driver, but there's no evidence for that.
Right. There we go.
Hey guys, welcome to the Two Hippies, One Drunk podcast. Welcome back again.
Now you're good.
So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please go to our podcast page on Apple or on Spotify. Give us 5 stars and a review. That really helps. The way this show works is it is a show where me and my 2 longtime comic buddies, Tyler Charles and Eric Fady.
Hello.
We switch off hosting duties each week, and each week we do a different show that we've set up that we want to do, and we bring the other 2 guys along.
That was a way to do it.
From now on, we are definitely going to go back to reading the script.
What did I miss?
It's not that you miss. It's that I don't want to get into this like this, but when you're doing a thing like this, it's very good to have just a uniform beginning every time.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway. We are doing Fuck-Rob-Uary, which is a month we decided to put together of anti-Rob Schneider content.
I would say it started when Tyler at one point really got us into this idea that there's a Rob Schneider show on Netflix. We started watching a little bit. We thought a little bit of it very cringy, and then for some reason we all 3 just started talking about how terrible of a person he is. I have a personal story that I'm about to share soon about him, and it kind of came to be like, wow, we could probably do a whole few episodes based on different themes based on how terrible Rob Schneider is as a person and an actor, by the way.
Yes, and we would love, we're just going to say right away, too, if there's any opportunity to, if you could send this to him on Twitter, if you could try to, he's a very, very petty man, and we'll get into that today. He is more likely.
We want him on the show.
And he is more likely to respond to something like this than anybody else at his level of fame. So yeah.
Yeah, tweet at him, get at him, send this. If you have his phone numbers, send him a text.
I will say when we first saw this, we are not really that active on Twitter. We do have quite a decent Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok thing. But Twitter is the easiest thing out there still to get at certain celebrities where technically they should see it. So although we're not as active on there, if any of you guys are out on Twitter, we're going to have 3 episodes, this one, another one, and Tyler's going to do one, and I'm going to do one. And they're all going to be really hammering him. And like Scott said, he has rabbit ears about himself, which we'll kind of get into here in these next 3 weeks even. And so it would be funny to see if he responded to these episodes.
Yeah, and we are all going to kind of take different angles on this. And mine, to kick it off, is I've looked up a bunch of stories about him being the most obnoxious person that he could possibly be in a lot of different situations. And we're going to talk about those. But before we get into that, Eric, would you like to share your own personal Schneider story?
Right. And I should clarify, it's not my own personal story, but it is someone I know very well. And so it's like a firsthand. I guess it's not firsthand.
Secondhand?
Yeah, I guess it's secondhand. But as far as what we're doing, this is as close as we can get. So anybody that's listened to the Detroit Cast over the years, or Drew and Mike back in the day, the host of the Detroit Cast and producer on the Drew and Mike show, Mike Walters, famously got in a scuffle with the man himself, Rob Schneider. And that was because they had somehow found his home phone number at one point, and they were calling his mom. And I mean, yeah, doing morning show shit, but they were trying to ask her basically if there was nudes under the bed still or this or that. And he got so pissed that they were calling his mom, which I do understand, but you are a celebrity. It is the situation. And basically he went, I mean, it'd be one thing if he just called Mike and like the back and said, hey guys, I get it, but I'd prefer you not call my mom. No, he went on what you'll learn to find is a very regular situation for Rob Schneider, which was calling him up and leaving literally hour-long voicemails about how he's going to be fired, how he talked to his boss, clean out your desk, don't even plan on showing up on Monday. I've already called. And he found names. Like Mike said, I believe he had names of at the time their big boss was actually in Boston. And he was a boss of several radio stations. And it sounded like Rob Schneider had at least looked up those names. Whether he had called or not, I don't know. But he had the names. I mean, he was like, I talked to so-and-so and so-and-so, and you're, get ready. You're going to be fired and this and that. And so it was and this was just over them on the morning show calling his mom's number, which would have been listed on someone. They got it somehow. It's not like they got it in a way where they put a gun to someone's head. Someone gave him that number. And so, yeah, that was kind of, I wish I could have had Mike on here to talk about it because I'm sure he could have explained more. But full on, like Mike said, I think he ran back in the day when there was voicemail limits. He would just run them out and keep calling.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was the limit? What was the longest one he left?
I don't know. But again, I got the impression that it was half hour, 40 minutes. As long as he could do it, he would do it. And he would
didn't even know messages could last that long. I thought it was 5 minutes, maybe.
Well, like I said, maybe I don't remember exact time, and that's where I would have liked to have Mike on here, but the point is he lengthy messages about how and just saying you're fired, get ready, you asshole, fuck you, and this and that, and I mean you are a celebrity is the reality, and he could have called up like I said and been like, hey guys, I'd prefer you not call my mom. I don't know that it would have stopped you, but he didn't even do that first, so he didn't even give them the option.
And please, anything you guys can do to make him leave us a voicemail at any point would be the best thing in the world. I would want. It would be a nice late Christmas present to have him threaten my life.
My phone number is 248-935-9241. So if you want to text that or tweet that at him, go ahead. I have no problem.
A lot of crazy people texting.
I told everyone on that Detroit cast regularly what my phone number was. So anyway, so Scott will get in here to some more this. So this is and for context for anybody that doesn't know Drew and Mike, by the way, I feel like I didn't even say that. Drew and Mike was a major morning show in the Detroit area, one that I at one point interned on. And as I said, Mike Walters, who was a producer, became the host and my boss at the Detroit cast. So this was a major morning show, and he has a history with things like this that anybody that doesn't think Rob Schneider of the animal and the hot chick is the best thing that's ever happened. You get the wrath of Mr. Schneider.
Of you can do it fame.
Right.
Yes. And as one example of that, we have the famous, first of all, I want to talk about too, looking up original sources on this was very difficult because most of these things have disappeared. Even when you talk about the secondhand accounts, a lot of the stuff I'm pulling up as secondhand accounts. I wish that I could find the original Hollywood Reporter full-page ad that he took out against a movie critic.
He took it out for
Yes.
them? Why crazy, man?
I don't even know how he's that powerful to wipe it off because he's not like a Scientologist, and he's actually in the end we find out I don't know what he says politically correctly. I don't know if he did vote for Trump. The deal is in the end he seems to be in a situation that's not a Biden guy, for example. So I don't understand where he has the power in Hollywood to get that. I'm shocked where that came from. That's he. I don't know if he's bribing people with some very nasty information or because it's hard to wipe shit off the internet.
Yeah, I feel like if you are Adam Sandler adjacent, you could have
Like a team of people, scouring the internet. And
you could have a TV star killed and nobody would look for you.
I don't know. I don't know, man. Like a full page ad. It's just the idea. It's not in Google Images. Yeah. And maybe again, I suppose it could be there. You could not have found it, but you look. Scott's pretty good at finding this stuff. So if you didn't find it, it means it's hard to find.
Yeah. Patrick Goldstein, who was a Los Angeles Times reporter, when he was interviewing or doing a review of Deuce Bigalow, European Gigolo.
The obvious classic.
Right.
I mean, this is thespian stuff. This is not even an actor. He's a thespian in that movie. Obviously, this is Shakespearean stuff.
It's more of a play than a movie.
Right.
And I wish you were joking. We will get into something a little bit later where he very straightforwardly compares himself to thespians.
So I can't even. I honestly just said that. I was obviously joking, but
I mean, it absolutely tracks.
So, while reviewing the hit sequel to the famously loved Deuce Bigelow.
You were really famously loved.
Have you guys ever seen that movie? By
I have
the way?
seen both of them. Yeah.
I haven't seen either of them, honestly. Although at one point, and this came up in our discussions on why this came. At one point in my life, when I was even out of high school, by the way, I think it was first year out of high school, I made my friends at like kind of a birthday party watch The Hot Chick because I thought it was good. I don't know if I would watch it today what I would think, but but that actually does make sense. So I'm saying I did not watch Deuce Bigelow. I thought it looked fucking dumb. But I watched The Hot Chick, and I remember literally making friends watch it, and they all made fun of me.
I was going to
because
say,
how bad
did
it
they
was.
like it or not?
They said it was terrible, and I defended it.
Yeah.
So I'm not like a total asshole, Rob Schneider.
So the
unlike Rob Schneider.
the Deuce Bigelow European Gigolos review said, it had a line in there that said, sadly overlooked at Oscar time because apparently nobody had the foresight to invent a category for best running penis joke delivered by a third-rate comic. And, I mean, this is pretty typical review stuff, to be honest.
I mean, does he realize, like, no offense, like Jackass doesn't necessarily get good reviews. Like, Dumb and Dumber, the original one. Some people thought that might ruin Jeff Daniels' career, for example. So when you do comedies, it's always a little trickier, especially when they're really dumb comedies. And so for the idea that he would, like Adam Sandler, my lord, can you imagine if Adam Sandler did this over his reviews?
Oh my God.
I mean, but he just keeps rolling on and he does what he does. Like, it is what it is.
And I just want to be clear because you just said it real quick. Jackass is high art, and I will find the money. I will sell my car. I will do what I need to do to take out a Hollywood Reporter ad on anybody who says otherwise.
No, but you know what I'm saying, though. I'm saying, like, in the end, like, the idea that he would think Deuce Bigelow, European Gigolo, like, dude, he should, again, look at his former buddy, what it sounds like, Adam Sandler, and imagine what the reviews he gets. But Adam Sandler just does what he does, and he moves on. He probably knows that fucking Grown Ups isn't the greatest thing that's ever been made, but he knows he's getting money, he's doing it with his friends, and he moves on.
Oh, wow, you didn't like my vacation? Too bad.
Yeah. Right. My vacation
with
films.
my friends.
Yeah. With the unfunny Kevin James from King of Queens. Anyway.
Famously unfunny.
Yeah. I mean, what are we comparing him to? Are we comparing him to the Friends cast? Anyway, so Rob Schneider.
Him and Rob Schneider.
Yeah.
About
I was gonna say, tune in last week to hear our discussion about that, to our last episode. So Rob Schneider, he takes out this full-page Hollywood Reporter ad that says, most of the world has no idea of your existence. You didn't win a Pulitzer Prize because they haven't invented a category for best third-rate, unfunny, pompous reporter who's never been acknowledged by his peers. I can honestly say that if I sat with your colleagues at a luncheon afterwards, they'd say, you know that Rob Schneider is a pretty intelligent guy. Whereas, if you sat with my colleagues after lunch, you would just be beaten beyond recognition.
I kind of can't believe this got wiped, and I don't understand how Rob Schneider had the power to not. I mean, I know he is kind of ruined in Hollywood, but it doesn't really seem like it took a long time. It wasn't something that happened right away. And I wish I could have known what the backlash to this was in the Hollywood scene. Like,
and my problem with it is too that, like, I love pettiness. I love some good pettiness, but he's not funny and he's not clever. And it's just, it comes across just like a very bitter man rambling.
Right.
And it's like, what are you so bitter about? You're insanely successful for no reason.
Now he's living that best life. And honestly, you call him a man. It's like he's throwing a tantrum. Like, that's what he's doing. Just with money and power.
Honestly, if you want to be extremely petty in his position, do the 50 Cent thing and just respond to, like, he's responded to tweets shitting on him before. Just like, fucking, I had some girl sucking on my balls 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. No. Right. I didn't know that, but that's funny.
That is great.
Oh, yeah. 50 Cent famously has a wonderful Twitter. So that is one story. Now, you talked about the whole some of his politics or whatever. I'll go ahead and get into this just because it's a pretty good one. And so you guys, are you familiar with Senator John Lewis at all?
No.
He's an old senator who marched with Martin Luther King.
Gotcha. You know what? When you say that, maybe I do remember, but I don't. Not very, very vaguely, if I do at all.
And Rob Schneider just got tore apart on Twitter because John Lewis refused to go to Trump's inauguration, which whatever, like we don't really do politics on this show. It is whatever. It's not that surprising. That seems right. And he responded to a guy who marched with Martin Luther King and said, "You are a great person, but King didn't give in to his anger or his heart. That is how he accomplished and won civil rights."
But isn't that what he's kind of doing? I would argue not showing up is a peaceful protest.
Exactly.
I would say, okay, exactly. So that's what I was going to say, like, to me, it'd be one thing if this guy that I didn't really know of, it'd be one thing if he was literally running around with a gun or like literally saying we should kill anybody who doesn't believe. But if he's just not showing up to the inauguration, that would be a peaceful protest. I would call that. And
just the arrogance of, once again, the star of the Deuce Bigelow Male Gigolo, telling a man who marched with Martin Luther King what Martin Luther King would have wanted.
Or the animal, by the way, too, as well.
Or the animal.
Big hits. Yeah. I mean, actually, sadly, when we looked into this, we started looking into it. We thought about looking at like numbers of like how much they made to like make fun of that. Most of them did much better than I would have ever thought.
Better
like
than I thought.
Considerably better. I know Scott was like, well, he was in the Adam Sandler thing. He was kind of popular at the time. I still was blown away by some of these were in the $80 million or some shit like that, like way more than I would have thought.
Yeah, that he could earn on his own without the Sandler name.
Dude,
well, was that a Happy Madison thing?
It was a Happy Madison thing.
So it was Sandler.
So he was just riding that wave. And really, if you think about it, man, I remember being 14, like The Animal, The Hot Chicken, Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo were big movies.
They were big. Yeah.
I mean, I was 19 or so and I liked The Hot Chick at the time. So
that's what I'm saying. You like they would a Blockbuster or something. They got a little wall.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But yeah, so okay, so if you want to get into it all, the whole Adam Sandler thing you were kind of talking about, that shit is, I can't wait until somebody writes a memoir like 10 or 20 years from now.
I would feel like
it explains way more of that.
Yeah, you're about to get that they're not friends, or at least Adam doesn't have him in stuff anymore. Is that the deal?
And he kind of does have him in stuff again. He was in Magnificent 8.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So what? But he was gone for a little bit.
He was in the Do-Over. The best guess I found, because there's a lot of speculation, but nobody really has a lot. The biggest thing I've kind of found is that David Spade is also a big Sandler guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And David Spade and Rob Schneider very publicly have had problems.
Gotcha.
So I don't know, like, if it's related to that or what, but they're.
And I would say that probably when it comes down to it, if and I have no knowledge of Adam Sandler, but if I were to pick on who he would be tighter with, I would say it would be David Spade over Schneider. I just think because him and Spade, famously, with their connection to Chris Farley, for example, like Adam and Spade are tight.
Yeah, Saturday Night Live, like they've had a lot of history together.
And Adam Sandler and David Spade both have been funny before.
Yeah,
right. So, I would say David Spade is sometimes still funny. And actually, even Adam Sandler can be funny in times. I mean, he's not unfunny. He's just I will say this, as I've grown up, when you do that kind of comedy, I mean, think about it. I fucking loved Will Ferrell for a while. Like, loved this. He couldn't do wrong in my mind. It's a hard type of comedy to keep up like that at times. Like, people like Farley that die, they almost get lucky because they get stuck in this thing where you can't make – they are the best. And I would say with Adam – not that this is an Adam Sandler thing, but I don't watch any of the stuff for the most part Adam Sandler does recently. But I also almost acknowledge that it would be very hard to ever keep up that level of funny.
Yeah. I would go in for whatever it's worth too. I would go so far as to say, I know like some people have different opinions on it. Uncut Gems, best movie of that year. Great movie.
And here's not a comedy, but
no. Well, like, but great performance by him.
Right. And here's like, not that I know this isn't going to Adam Sandler tangent, but like, here's another thing. Like, I don't really care that much for his comedy, but I watched his special, the last one, and it was but like the song he did for Chris Farley was like incredible. Like I cried watching it several times.
It was a serious song?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh no. And I don't know how you guys will be, but how I am, I literally have watched it several times and
I could see that affecting
because he did a tribute song to Chris Farley. So my point is, like, I can see that Adam Sandler definitely has some talent in there.
Yeah,
so it's honestly, just compared to Rob Schneider, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, Adam Sandler at least is the dude writing this stuff and producing some stuff.
I was gonna say, as much as I hate to admit it, I liked that dumb Halloween movie he did. I thought it was fun and stupid.
I don't know anything about it.
It's on Netflix. It's like, it honestly very much so reminded me of his old movies.
Gotcha,
Which is just really dumb and like punching humor and stuff like that. But it was fun. I had a good time with it.
And again, obviously, we're doing this against Rob Schneider. But the reason I think this comes up is we're trying to point out that he's like David Spade has been funny or is maybe funny here and there. Adam Sandler definitely was and has moments maybe still and has some talent. Where Rob Schneider has always just been a dude who's literally leached on to Adam Sandler.
Yeah. Like
you can do it. Like, you can
did
do
he
it.
do stand up or anything?
Yeah,
along those
I assume so.
Before this, or was it like he was friends with Adam Sandler and just got?
Well, he was on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll answer that in 1 second. I got a question. You guys want to guess how many movies he has said you can do it in?
How many movies?
I'll say a guess. I'll wait till he feels like he. I want him to.
I have one.
I'm gonna say 7.
I'm gonna say less than that. I don't know how many movies there are out there of these things. I'm gonna say 4.
6.
Okay.
Oh,
all right in the middle.
So Eric by 1.
So you busted it by Price of Right rules.
Yeah, that's true. And this podcast always follows Price of Right.
As should life, by the way. I believe that life should follow Price's Right rules.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so yeah, Rob Schneider was on Saturday Night Live. That was kind of he was a performer. He was technically too, like the way that works a lot of the time is they're writer performers. Like the people who perform also do write the skits.
Yeah.
And that was one reason him and David Spade didn't get along, is that according to David Spade in his 2015 memoir, he said that Rob Schneider would work on stuff with him and then just secretly submit it as just his own writing.
What a piece of shit.
And here's the thing. I know you're getting, quote unquote, one side of this story. But guess what? When you're a dude who goes most of your life singing pretty credible, David Spade will talk about his faults. He'll talk about, that he likes to bang chicks still and like whatever. But because David Spade, though, is very open about stuff. And he doesn't appear to be really an asshole. You don't hear stories of him being an asshole. You hear dozens of stories of Schneider being an asshole. So whether it's even true or not, that's unfortunately what happens when you have a reputation.
And once again, I mean, if we're just looking at the evidence, how did a man who's never once been funny write skits that made it on SNL?
Right. Like, it is not shocking to me that David Spade was able to write skits on SNL. It would be more shocking that Rob Schneider would.
And honestly, 6 fucking movies that was his only line. Right?
Yeah, not his only line necessarily.
Oh yeah, I guess he is like a character in the town wherever they are.
Exactly.
But like that's the only one I remember.
Yes. So another reason he had a problem, he would also do this thing to David Spade, according to his memoir, where he would not let David Spade know about meetings that were being had so that he wouldn't show up.
A snaky little dick.
Yeah.
That's fucking wild.
And then there was actually an interview on Howard Stern. David Spade told a story that was not in his memoir about time Phil Hartman threatened to kill Rob Schneider. And Phil Hartman, famously, I mean, an extremely nice guy, according to like all accounts.
Yeah. Not his ex-wife, apparently, but, other people.
No, think about how nice you have to be killed by a woman.
Right. That is a good point. That is a good
point. They're weaker than you. They're like, you know what? Like, that's not a controversial statement.
I don't know. Anyway.
No.
I'll let
we'll let the internet decide.
I'm not even saying I disagree. I'm just saying he said it. That's all I'm saying.
All right. We're making a new movement. Take down Scott.
Right. So he Bill Hartman threatened to kill him on SNL?
Yes.
Oh my god.
On the show? They got
okay. So Phil Hartman hired an intern that was a family friend to work on Saturday Night Live. Rob Schneider was flirting with her, which pissed off Rob Schneider's girlfriend.
Yeah.
And Rob Schneider's girlfriend asked him to fire her, and he did.
It's funny because even that, I thought, I was like, okay, it pissed off Phil Hartman because maybe Phil Hartman was into her. It's worse than that. It pissed off his own girlfriend at the time. And by the way, when you talk about that "you can do it" thing, I don't know how many versions he's in, but I'll take the Steve Buscemi character in any of Adam Sandler movies over "You Can Do It." I don't know if he's in a lot of them, but Steve Buscemi has a few of those roles, like I think in Big Daddy, where he's just like this weirdo guy, right?
Yeah.
And he is way more entertaining to me than just You Can Do It. Again, maybe he's only in the one. Maybe I thought he was in more, but I'm not sure.
No, he's definitely in more. He is weirdly a Sandler guy. He is slumming it.
I love Steve Buscemi, by
Steve
the way.
Buscemi's wonderful.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Like treasure to this country.
Right.
American treasure.
And just elevates any Adam Sandler movie he's in. I
agree.
No doubt about
I
it.
agree with that too.
Oh yeah, because he's in Big Daddy, because he's the bum, right? He's in the bum where they go to McDonald's. That's Big Daddy. He's also in the one where he does the he's like his uncle dies. So anyway, he's in a few.
Anytime he does show up in an Adam Sandler movie, for a second I'm like, wait, what the fuck? And then I'm like, oh yeah, he does that sometimes.
No, he's always this guy with like his eyes are like cross-eyed.
Yeah.
Such a nut job.
Yep.
Which is acting, by the way. All fucking Schneider does is sit there and go, "You can do it," which was funny. That remember when movies had catchphrases though, back in the day, and you didn't have the internet, so they would just have a movie. And back in the day, dude, you would have 100% been in the hallways of like a school. Like, you can do it.
Yes, definitely.
Oh yeah, it would last you like a whole summer.
Right, exactly.
But so he fired her without consulting Phil Hartman or Phil Hartman having anything to do with it, which he was upset about because it was a family friend. And so Rob Schneider ended up physically grabbing him and like slamming him against the wall.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And then apparently at some point he threatened him and said that he would put a bullet in his head.
Rob Schneider said to Phil Hartman.
No, Phil Hartman said that to Rob Schneider.
I'm gonna put a bullet in your head?
Yes.
To piss off Lionel Hutz that bad, it must have been terrible. Like
no. and I can't get over. I mean, like if you go into any of that, like I honestly, one of these days we'll do an episode on SNL beefs too, because there's so many of them and they're so fucking good. Well, but one thing you will hear consistently all the time in all these memoirs and all these stories is, oh no, everybody loves Phil Hartman. Yeah,
and obviously the thing with SNL, by the way, that it does lend to have beefs. It's a very competitive position where like you're supposed to be thrilled that you just have it, but also it's like deathly competitive. You have to be ready. You need to get on TV, but also you're supposed to be like a team, and we gotta have the show be good every day. So I can understand why there would be beefs at SNL. You know what I mean?
Oh, big time, dude.
It'd be very stressful.
We've spent enough time in local comedy scenes. I can't imagine the sorts of beefs and competitiveness that comes up on fucking SNL.
And actually, when you think about it, the fact that they've had several periods in of that's run that's been considered like, you know, glory days. I mean, they've had several periods that people think this was the best cast. This was the best cast. With all that nature of it, that they still do tend to wind up a lot of times making decent stuff. I mean, some people think they aren't right now, but you know what I'm saying, though. It's still pretty impressive.
And honestly, like you were saying, Scott, I think it's pretty crazy that like the level, like our small town.
Scott doesn't like sketch comedies, so he doesn't care.
No, I like sketch comedy. I love Chappelle's Show. I love, honestly, Whitest Kids You Know. That's okay.
Yeah, there's some
good
ones.
I would argue Saturday Night Live has never, ever been funny, that's just
the
me.
Dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I understand that it's maybe not at its best right now, but to suggest some of these seasons when they had back when Will Ferrell was there, the Dana Carvey, whatever. Let's move on.
I wanted to finish my thing. I just feel like the small comedy groups have a lot of drama, but when you have like literally I might be famous on the fucking line, I guarantee you it heightens everything.
Or not even famous.
I might be a movie star.
Yeah.
Or not even that, by the way. I might be on the street. Like this is it.
This is it. Right. If I don't make it here, I'm fucked. Like I'm not gonna make it in this career.
I'd be on the street. I might be performing in Vegas and doing road work.
Yeah,
really.
That's fair. If you made it to that, you're making money for the rest of your life off of comedy.
Like people like Gallagher and Carrot Top are like set for life.
Right.
Somehow.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But okay, so I'm debating how much of this to actually read because it's probably too much. But basically, people were pointing out the fact that like Rob Schneider he's half Filipino, but he's also half white, and he plays a lot of different ethnic characters or whatever.
Right, yeah.
And he wrote an essay defending his position on doing that. And in the New York Times.
Funny, by the way, I'm a person, I don't remember all the characters he played. I honestly wouldn't give a fuck about any of the characters he played. Now, whatever, some people might, that's fine. But once you get to the point, just do it. and be it. You're Rob Schneider. People really haven't been attacking you. It's not like he was called to be canceled on, as far as I ever know. So you know what? Let it just sit there, motherfucker. Like, this is what will offend me, will be this essay, not any of the shit he did. Like,
well, this is the thing too. I love they called it an essay, and I did spend quite a while looking for this because this was kind of hard to find too. It's 2 paragraphs.
What the fuck? This guy has more people. More.
This is a letter to the editor.
No, but this guy has more stuff on people than fucking. What was that guy? I couldn't think of the fucking name because I was trying to make it a joke. But like, this dude must have some top level shit on people. It is hard to have things scrubbed, and he has multiple things basically scrubbed to the internet.
Totally. Okay, so I'm just gonna read like basically.
Oh, Harvey Weinstein is the joke I was trying to go for. I'm like, this motherfucker, man, Christ.
He goes through a list of different people who've played different races, like throughout classic films and stuff. And I love this turn, so I'm just gonna go about halfway down the paragraph and say, the best screen adaptation was of Othello, which was arguably the one with Orson Welles in the title role. Although Laurence Olivier didn't fare too poorly either. Not too bad for 2 white guys. As for my portrayal of Ula, a one-eyed pigeon-talking Hawaiian in 50 First Dates, I based my portrayal on Ula, an actual one-eyed pigeon-talking Tongan who lives in Hawaii. I guess Adam Sandler thought I might be funnier in the role.
No, he didn't.
What? I don't even care. Again, to me, the movie was what it was. I've seen 50 First Dates. I actually know what he's talking about.
Yep.
It's an Adam Sandler movie. Just accept it, man. My lord, take your fucking money. No one was even clamoring for you to be canceled. That'd be one thing. Maybe if it was like he was just getting so much heat where people like, maybe if you wanted
to respond.
Right, if you wanted to step out and say, look, guys, I do understand some of this stuff, but hey, I'm with Adam Sandler. We do a lot of things together. If he's going to ask me to do roles, I'm going to do them. But no, this is, oh my God.
I feel like he has a really good argument for the idea that, like, you can have everything, and if internally you are not happy, like, none of it matters.
Right, you're right. Good point. I agree.
Because, honestly, like, we have none of that stuff and wouldn't be as concerned with this sort of thing. Okay, so this will be a little bit more of a beefier thing. I definitely want to get into. And thank you, Eric, for pointing this out to me, because when I was doing research on this insanely was not a thing that came up. Like I said, I don't know what sort of Israeli like murder firm he has that scrubs this shit off the internet, but it is. He did an interview for 95.5 The Wild, which is just like a morning radio show that is, some of the most absurd shit I've ever heard. And I could not find an original copy of it anywhere. Thankfully, the show Opie and Anthony did do a thing where they listened to it and responded to it. So you could piece together the interview based on that.
Okay.
Which is, again, wild. This, I don't understand how he could scrub this amount of stuff from the internet. He's Rob Schneider.
It does make him seem more powerful than he is for real. If you get that shit scrubbed, I thought it was like pretty much impossible to do that.
So the Wild interview. So it starts out. They bring him in, and he is immediately pissed off that he had to apparently wait in the parking lot for a little bit.
Which, by the way, he would have been allowed to go into the building. But I'm guessing, based on all these things, he probably would have been like, well, I'm Rob Schneider. If I'm there, I'm going to have to deal with people. He would have been allowed to sit in a green room or something, like a producer's office first, by the way. He would not have had to, and probably most likely someone would have been like, would you like me to give you some TV? I could give you something to drink. Like, he'd probably, if he's really legit in the car, this is many, many years. This is like 2009. 2009, yes. So we're not talking COVID, by the way. This is many years ago. He would not have been told to just stay in the parking lot. If he's staying in the parking lot, and I'm only knowing this from working in morning shows, it would have been his choice to sit in the car in the parking lot. They would have been very apologetic. Hey, interview's running long. We could get you shot, or do you want to sit in a room, watch some TV if you want, whatever. So if he's in the parking lot, that's his fucking choice.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he thinks he's Rob Schneider and people will be bugging him.
And I mean, I respect the fuck out of these radio DJs for actually taking him to task as it goes on. But Immediately, he comes in extremely hot, extremely pissed off, and these people do, even in that moment, they try to like quell it and like be like, hey, look, we're sorry we made you wait, blah blah blah. And so yeah, he comes in and he's like, like, what the hell? I had to wait for dancers. Like, you can't even watch dancers on a radio thing. And they're like, we're sorry we made you wait, but it was not just a dancer. It was I'm not entitled, it's respect. I don't know what that comment means.
It's not entitled.
But if you're talking about entitled based on him being delayed or some of this stuff, they would have given him, if this is referring to just a morning show thing, they would have given him that respect. Like I said, I know for a fact that a show, if Rob Schneider was coming in, they would have put him in a room. They would have been like really things run late, by the way, in radio all the time. It is very normal for interviews and segments to run late in morning shows.
And I would just like to welcome the Rob Schneider sock account that just joined the chat.
Right.
Yeah, hi, Rob.
So yeah, no, and they're like, well, it wasn't just a dancer. It was a guy who was Michael Jackson's main backup dancer who was with him when he died.
So more famous than Rob Schneider.
And Rob Schneider responds with, well, I mean, he wasn't with him when he died.
Oh, shut the fuck up, Rob! Oh my God.
And they're like, dude, but he was rehearsing with him that day. It's like what they say. And then
Christ.
And then he tries
with him. Was he gonna hold Michael Jackson's hand as he passed?
Right? Was he with him in the bathtub? What?
And the key would be, if that was the case, let's say that was the case, would Rob Schneider then consider that okay for him to be late? Would that have been the difference?
Yeah. I feel like he would have just come up with another excuse to bitch.
And then he tries to steer into this weird Michael Jackson joke where he goes, look, there are certain lessons you learn, because they're like, oh, I guess you're not a Michael Jackson fan, huh? And he goes, look, there are certain lessons you learn from Michael Jackson. You can open an amusement park or a zoo. You can't do both. You only have so much nose.
God, so dumb. And I'm not even a big Michael Jackson fan personally, but so dumb.
Yeah, and his joke flat out bombs. I mean,
it did right here.
Yeah,
we experienced it.
No, yeah, it's one of those, like, how do I even respond to that? I can't even, my brain's trying to grab onto any sort of coherent idea of what you even said.
And I wish I could have listened. I actually have heard this, but it's been a long time. I wish I could listen to it again. This would be, what just was said there, and the situation that these DJs would have been in would have been very difficult. You have Rob Schneider coming in. He's already literally on the radio now saying that you made him late. He's in the parking lot. Then he makes this joke. This is, most of the time, a morning DJ show is a pretty fun job. This would be one of those days where I would consider they earning their paycheck, because this would have been very hard to get through.
Yeah, because he's famous as hell too.
And it's not on the phone. It's not because a lot of radio people don't know this, but a lot of times when they do interviews, they'll do like pre-record. They'll record them the afternoon before and like edit them down, and they'll pretend they're doing it live. If he's in studio, it's a lot harder, man, because that means he's there and you're dealing with this very much as it's happening. And you don't know what he's going to say at this point. If he's made these references, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
like, it's such a scarier situation. Like, you don't know what the fuck he's even going to say.
Yeah.
I mean, you know he's mad.
You have a dump. They will have a dump button that they can get, cut 30 seconds or so. But still, it's just, it would be very precarious for sure.
Yeah. And we've all been in live performance situations. We've all done stand up for a long time. The worst thing you can do when a joke bombs is to get mad at the people you told it to that it bombed.
Right.
Yeah, you just didn't get it.
Right.
So there's 2 or 3 seconds of silence, and then he just goes, I have more money than you. I can buy and sell people like you.
What? Don't be talking about buying and selling humans in your interview. Oh my God. I can buy and sell.
I mean, obviously, just referring to the fact that he's loaded.
Yes, I get that. But like, what an angle to take.
I know. You gotta think that's in his head. That's like a go-to. That was sitting there stewing.
Yeah, no, that's been there for a while.
Could you imagine if you were doing stand-up and a joke didn't work, and then you were like, I'm funnier than you. I'm a better writer. I'm a better performer. Like, what?
I could buy and sell you.
What the fuck?
Hilarious.
So then this woman, one of the women DJs starts getting kind of like flustered, and she's like, what is this? Why is this happening? Whatever.
Right. And I don't blame her, obviously.
No. And she's talking in like a Southern accent. He's like, what is that? You didn't talk like that in the radio drop or whatever. And they were like, yeah, I think like sometimes when she gets emotional, she's from Louisiana. Her accent comes out a little bit more. And he was like, well, let's see how emotional she can get because people already can't understand her.
That's great. To do this, by the way, and on his end, by the way, even if you're a narcissist or an asshole, whatever he's got going, even on his end, to do this live, looking at someone's eyes, again, over the phone, it's like easier. You feel like you're disconnected. Mm-hmm. But to say that it's someone in this situation, which, by the way, they're in reality doing you a favor, trying to sell where you're going to be that weekend. You're not, they're not, they've talked to plenty of rich, famous people in their day, and they don't want this or deserve it. Like,
no, not at all. And so at that point, like, it gets quiet again, and then they try to just change the subject. And the guy who's being the nicest out of any of them, he's like, they ask him about his movies. They're like, what is it like being in those movies? And he's like, the only thing you can try to do is have a good time. You can't control the result. Like you guys, you try to have a fun time in the morning, and you keep your guests waiting in the parking lot.
And the thing is, he would have experienced this at many other shows if he did call-ins or he did. It's not trying to hammer that, but it's just normal. So
yeah,
and dude, bigger stars than Rob Schneider have been put on hold in radio segments. I promise you that.
Absolutely. Like, and it sounds like, I mean, they had a pretty serious segment before that. This would have been 2009. Michael Jackson would have recently died.
Yeah.
That This Is It documentary had came out. Like, I guarantee
that's a good point. I didn't even
way more impressive of a person at the time than Rob Schneider. You wait in the parking lot, Rob.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's a good point.
So at that point, they're like, look, man, like, all right, we got to do this interview. Let's clean the slate. Let's just start over. And he just refuses. And he's just basically like, just keeps yelling at them. And he's like, well, why did you make me wait? I shouldn't have had to wait. And they're like, look, we have a lot of stuff going on. And Rob says, this is morning radio. You don't have anything going on. You don't have enough stuff going on. And at that point, one of the hosts calls him a jerk.
That's funny. I'm just curious because the guy's actually been commented. But Marty, I don't know what it says there. I'm not great.
Yeah, he says, yes, I agree, but I would look at more the ideal that he would have it more professional.
Who, the morning show guy he's talking about?
Would be idiotic to refuse.
I'm not quite sure. Anyway, we shouldn't even do it because it's fine. We're reading comments and I'm not fully sure what he's kind of getting at.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, the nice, by the way, again, stars like him who aren't big enough some stars don't need to do morning zoo radio. Rob Schneider, even though it seems like he would have been big enough, he wasn't big enough because if he was doing it, it means he wasn't big enough. It means there was seats that weren't sold to what he was doing and that he needs them as much as they need him. It is an absolute give and take, by the way, which is very normal for the entertainment industry, which he's in. Like, that is the whole gig of all of it. Yes, most people don't want to go on some of these shows, but they do it because they get their name out there and they sell their tickets, which is their job, by the way.
Yeah, you're not going to catch Adam Sandler on a morning zoo radio show.
No, not anymore because he's Adam Sandler, right? He'll go on Howard Stern. He's not going to go on fucking the 95 Animal Zoo in the morning.
And this is 2009 Rob Schneider, too. So this is post-peak.
Right, absolutely.
So at that point, like, basically, like, one of the hosts is just like, hey, you're being a jerk, man. And then
he's calling him a jerk.
Yes. And then they just all start, like, yelling at each other.
Oh, my God.
And, like, it's one of those where it's like you can't even really pick out any sort of narrative or anything like that. It's yelling. It's three people in a room all yelling at each other.
Well, I would say it's probably 2-on-1, right? I assume they're just yelling at Robson. I mean, they're yelling, but the radio people are not yelling going at each other. They're getting on him and he's getting on them.
Okay, so technically it's 3-on-1 because it's like you got two guys and a woman, yes. And one of the guys is constantly trying to, even at this point,
save the deal,
be congenial or whatever. Okay. And the other guy's just openly pissed at this point, not having any.
That's fair, and that would be his job. And honestly, I'm guessing now, I don't know these guys' history at all. If they're actually close and do a good, successful morning show, after the show, they would say to him, they would understand, like, yeah, I understand you had to kind of for air try to save this, but but you know what I mean? So that would be that one guy's job.
I do love
it. Wouldn't mean he would agree with Rob Schneider. It would just be his job was like somewhat get this on a track. You know what I mean?
And one thing is when you are three people doing a show like that, like you try to find balance no matter what. If somebody's doing one thing, you go, well, how can I kind of do the other?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so then the guy who's trying to make everybody get along goes, why can't we be light and fun? This isn't fun. Which he's wrong. It is very fun. It is a blast.
Yeah. For everybody else, the listeners are happy.
This would have been, if you were listening to radio too, by the way, this would be the interview you always wish you would hear. Yes, you always hear this fake shit where they're like, well, blah, blah, blah. If you were driving into work on this morning, this, by the way, would be the type of radio that would make you not leave the car. This would like you would be like, I'll be 5 minutes late. I'm listening.
100%. If you had time, you would call like a friend or somebody and be like, did you hear the goddamn radio interview on The Wild this morning or whatever? Yes, totally. And at that point, Rob says, well, that's your responsibility. To be fun. Like, that's not my responsibility, basically.
Oh my God.
And the DJ says, this sucks. The guy who's more angry now is like, this sucks. We have this guy who walks in thinking he's better than us. Like, he thinks he's Elvis Presley, my lord.
Yeah, he's not, though. For sure. Like, even the comparison is absurd.
And then he starts doing an impression of Rob Schneider. I'd be like, the parking lot. Oh
my God.
That's really devolving into just fucking children barking bullshit at each other. It's all the parking lot.
And then all the DJs laugh because it's hilarious.
Yeah. You're mocking him to his face. Like you said, Eric, it's not a phone call.
Right.
This is to Rob Schneider's face.
I'm shocked Rob didn't just get up and leave. By the way.
Yeah.
He has famously got just nixed interviews where he's just hung up. So,
but this is the beauty of his pettiness. He's still in the argument. He should leave, but he's going to stay.
Right.
So he is at that point. Then he does. I hate so much too. Whenever somebody is acting like an asshole like this, and you back him enough into a corner, he does like the thing I hate more than anything else in the world, where he goes, "I wasn't walking in like Elvis Presley. I was joking."
Yeah, I
was joking.
I know that it's one thing if you're just with some friends and maybe for some reason they didn't quite get it. You can be like, oh man, dude, I was just messing. But when you're right, when people just say obnoxious things or are literally assholes and then go, I was joking. It's a joke. It's a joke. That is nails on a chalkboard.
And so he's like, you know what? I don't care what you think. And they're like, obviously not. Then why are you here? Bye.
Oh shit. That's funny, man.
They just like shut everything down after that?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Oh my God, it still went on after they said bye?
How can you not find this on the internet? How is this not posted like once a year on its anniversary?
Right,
Definitely should be in my feed every once in a while.
So it should be on any list of like the 20 best radio interviews of the decade.
Yes.
So they say that, and Rob Schneider starts saying, I think you wanted it to go this way. I was just trying to joke around about the parking lot and make it interesting for you. Like,
I love it when someone says I was trying to help you out. This is your fault.
Yep. Especially in this situation where it's like, no, dude, like you're advertising for your bullshit on our show. Like that's why you're here.
And he wasn't joking at all. I mean, he was being extremely bitter. They even tried to change the subject at one point. Like I will say, like which also, too, if you guys want to hear the radio interview, the Opie and Anthony one is still on YouTube, and it's really great. And one of the things that they definitely pointed out with that, too, is that, like, nobody wants this to happen in a morning show.
I was going to say, the Opie and Anthony, and I know I was giving the small amount of knowledge I have from interning on a pretty big morning show. But if you listen to that version, one, you'll get the actual audio, which you'll be able to tell he's not joking. But two, you'll get some very top-level experts. Opie and Anthony was one of the biggest shows in the country. So they'll probably give some radio insight that will let people know even more than I knew, what this is like.
Is this on that? So can I listen to them talking about?
Yeah.
Okay,
they do play the whole interview. They just stop it. But it's the only place you can find it.
I want to hear it.
And so he goes, and so Rob Schneider, like after that, he's like, so we're still going on? And one of the DJs, the woman says, "No, we're not. I quit this bitch." And
Oh,
walks
shit.
out.
She quit her job.
No,
Like,
no,
just
yeah,
quit
yeah.
that interview.
This interview, at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like Rob made her just fuck it. I don't care about this career anymore.
And then they go, "All right, well, one of us just dropped."
Oh, I would say this, by the way. Honestly, if I was on,
Oh.
if you're in that thing, to me, you are trying to keep it going because this
Yeah.
is high level ratings you're going to get from this. High level notoriety. You're going to get, people are going to check out, especially back then. Social media would have been pretty new still. I bet this blew the fuck up, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you're going to come off as a good person. That's what even like I would not like be prodding him. I would be doing nice things, but not ending it either personally, because you're going to come off as a good guy.
Now, I'm curious, Eric, if you're aware of this at all. And like, I really wish, man, we've been going so hard every single day that like doing the research for this, I normally spend at least 5 or 10 hours doing research for these things. It just wasn't possible this time. But there was a Howard Stern Howard Stern did an analysis on this too, I guess, and took Rob Schneider's side.
What?
Yeah.
That'd be interesting because
Oh,
where Stern has gone since then, because there's no way, because Stern's famously kind of gone off his rocker a little bit with some of this, like, because just the stuff I know politically, I wonder that he took Schneider's side now. I would love to play that for Stern right now and say, "Oh, really, Stern? You still think this? You still hold up, Stern?" I can't believe Stern took his side, honestly.
I read an article about it that was kind of like he was being like, "Well, morning radio was a nightmare," and blah blah. blah,
so you know what that means? That means that Stern is going to go on there and talk about how Stern is God and how so many other morning shows are so done poorly and not done professionally. And I'm Howard Stern. If he came on my show, we wouldn't make him wait in the parking lot. Yeah, because he comes in your show. It's an hour and it's a big fucking deal in New York.
Yeah.
And I, by the way, I don't necessarily hate Stern. For a while, he used to be one of my radio heroes as a radio nerd. But like, honestly, for Stern to go down that route, that's just Stern talking about how other morning shows are not nearly as good as the Holy Grail himself.
Exactly. Like he's the guy, the morning show guy. Like I feel like he has the budget to do all the things. And I guarantee you, like Eric said, like they had a room for him. He stayed in his car out of choice.
Yes, absolutely. Million. I don't even need. I almost like it's the closest I can say to a guarantee without like saying 100. I would be like at 99.5%. They would be like, "I'm very sorry, Mrs. Schneider. Let's bring you in here." Like offered him food or drinks even. There would have been, trust me.
Oh, I guarantee it's not like, "No, we don't have any room. We don't have a green room for you. We don't have anywhere for you to fucking stay. You stay out in the parking lot." Movie star Rob Schneider.
Exactly.
And I was gonna say too, I love in the Opie and Anthony analysis too. They bring up, they're like, Rob Schneider's people have contacted us so many times asking for him to be on our show, and this is exactly why we've never let him be on our show.
Yeah, he is famously known as a terrible guest in this sense. So
at that point, the one woman walks out, and they're like, "All right, well, one of us just dropped or whatever." And then Rob Schneider says, "I did another radio show, your competition. It went great."
What a dick, dude.
And then they said, "They go back there. We've never once had something like this happen."
That's so funny, man.
And then this is
great.
I love the angry DJ of this so much, the way he handles it and everything. Because then at that point, Rob Schneider storms out, and the angry DJ goes, "Elvis has left the building."
Oh my God, what a great line!
Yeah.
That's great. Good for him, dude. That's an awesome line.
So good.
And honestly, that's probably the high. I bet in the end, though, that's a highlight of his personal radio career.
Oh, absolutely.
Depending on who he's interviewed, but morning shows like that, to have a moment like that, and then have it be like this star, and you get to say Elvis has left the building as he started out.
Perfect burn.
That's such a good burn.
That's great.
But yeah, those are the Rob Schneider stories I had prepared.
Oh, once again, by the way, I know we said that we're not as active on Twitter, even though we're pretty active on all the other social medias, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Twitter is the easiest way to sometimes get at these celebrities on a personal level. If anybody that we know listens that does Twitter decently amount, we'd appreciate if maybe you could send a link of this podcast once it's out to Rob Schneider, tag him, or you could just even tag him now and say, "Hey, two hippies, one drunk did a show about you." blah, blah, blah. Because if there is a celebrity at his level that'd be petty enough to respond, it'd be him. So,
and Eric, do you want to say that phone number one more time that they could also include in the tweet?
Yeah, you can tweet at him. I don't care. You can tweet at Rob Schneider, and he can call me or call or text me at 248-935-9241. By the way, no, that's it. I'll leave it there.
I love it so much. Yeah, so that's our first Fuck-Rob-Uary episode of this month. We're doing 3. This is the first of the 3. Anything else you want to say?
So what are we doing next week for Fuck-Rob-Uary?
We are watching his god-awful show. Well, I'm watching it, and we're all watching it, and we're gonna review it. And I was the one who brought this up because I hate it. I watched 2 episodes of this thing. And typically, if I'm watching a show, I at least watch the first season. I'll just give it that time or whatever. I was like, fuck this thing, the second episode in, and just got out. So we'll be talking about his piece of shit show.
Yeah, and we're going to be watching, there's 2 seasons somehow. We're going to be watching the first season if anybody else wants to watch it with us. There's 2 seasons, and I'm sorry, my sanity can't take it. We're doing
one season.
I'm dedicated to the craft, and I'll watch 2. But
might end up watching 2. But if you want to watch along, watch the first season at least, or watch an episode or 2. You'll get it. It's the worst. It's this man we were just talking about trying to do the Louis.
I say don't watch it and listen to us talk about it because I'm sorry if you have to listen or watch it.
And by the way, once again, we do this usually every Wednesday. We're doing it on Thursday this week just because of circumstances. I do my show Big E Comedy Venture most Mondays with my friend Amy. We do an on-the-road version of 2 Hippies, 1 Drunk. I want to say for anybody, because only because it went so well, if they happen to listen to this episode, we're down here in Panama City, and we did some comedy at the Library place last night. I know I'm probably saying it wrong, but Janet was the host, and we had a really good crowd last night, a really good room. We hung out with them afterwards. So just in case any of them happen to listen, a few of them even downloaded the show. If you listened to this, got through this episode, really appreciated it last night. It was really fun. For people that listen regularly, I do a thing where we're not ever going to ask for money. We put a lot of content out on all our social medias, but I have requested maybe if you listen to at least one of these shows, even just one of them, if you could throw out $1 a week. That's all we're all kind of asking. The road, we've all worked and saved a lot for this, but there's always more shit. I got a van that needs working on tomorrow, so that happens. You can go to my Venmo, Eric, ERIC, Fady, F as in Frank, ADIE, or TWO Hippies. If for some reason you don't have Venmo, I'm on Cash App. If you're not on either of those and you want to give me money or us money, trust me, just text me that number I said earlier or hit me up on Facebook. We will find a way to take your money if you want to give it.
And also, if you want even a little bit more bargain for your buck, I do tarot readings for $30 an hour. And we've had people respond to that, which has been great. It's also helped our budget. And then, Tyler, do you want to explain your art as well?
Yeah, I sell prints of my art if you want to check out on my Facebook page or Stargazing Productions. I have a page for that. And any of those, I sell prints of that for $20 and originals for $50. And if you want to do that and give us some money, and all of that money is going towards the trip. We're not just like trying to get money from you or hawk all this stuff.
That is a good point that I haven't mentioned before. Really legit, the money that we're trying to get is all just so we can keep the trip rocking and rolling. I don't really care. Don't get me wrong. I want to make money. I know we all do. I don't really care about making a profit, quote unquote. I just want to keep the funds going enough that we can keep rolling. That's it. So
yeah.
Great. Thanks again, guys. See you next time.
Oh, wait. Likes, share, subscribe, review us on iTunes.
Yes.